Okay, so today we're going to start working on floor plans. And this is the floor plan we're going to be building. It's on page 428. I do want to point out we're not actually going to be putting in the bathroom here, so we won't be putting in the toilet, the sink, or the tub. But everything else on this floor plan we will be doing. And in fact, we'll be doing quite a bit more than this because we'll be making a front facade for the house. And we'll be putting some trees in the backyard, a little bit of an orchard, and I think a second floor as well. The first thing I want to do is I want to have you open up a couple of files. If you look in Canvas, you'll see that I have put in and uploaded quite a few files. There's an Anderson window file, and take note, this file is a .dxf file. DXF is a document exchange format. DXF is a standard format that different manufacturers use who may not be using AutoCAD systems. So a DWG format is an AutoCAD format, so it can be read directly into AutoCAD. DXF is a format that can be read by any CAD system. So while most CAD systems can automatically read AutoCAD formats, AutoCAD can't necessarily read and open every other CAD system. But virtually every CAD system can open and read a DXF. So DXF is kind of like a universal translator format. So every CAD system should be able to open a DXF format. And manufacturers put up various files and make files available having all the information for their products. So Anderson has DXF files for their windows. Genweld has, in fact, Genweld actually uses DWG files. And they have door files, so we can look up their doors. So we're going to actually use Anderson window files, and we're going to use Genweld door files as we build the front facade of the house that we're going to be building. And we're going to use this architectural title block drawing. Now this is actually in AutoCAD in your defaults, but I put it up here because it's a lot easier to access this way. So go ahead and open up these files and just leave them in your AutoCAD just so they're hanging out, they're available for you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a layout template that we're going to use for our architectural format. So what I want you to do is let's just start, and actually those drawings that we have, let's go over these real quick. This is our architectural format. And one thing I want to point out is that this is, of course, not the same as a mechanical format. Architects use a different way, a different page style in reading drawings. So all the drawing information is over here on the right-hand side. Project date, scale, sheet, project name and address, firm, revisions, and I forget what this big block is here. General notes. So they can put they generally have a note field that they put notes in. Where mechanical, it's a little bit less rigid. They tend to put notes all over the drawing. The Genweld door file is incredibly large. Is pretty much the whole manual. You can go ahead and look at all the different pages. We're just going to pick one particular door and put it in our file, and the same is true for the Anderson window file. There are lots and lots of different windows in different styles. Colonial, Prairie. Actually, in this case, only Colonial, Prairie. But this is actually, if you actually go to Anderson, there's actually a zip file, and this is one DXF file of their zip file, which I think is 4 or 5 files. And then you can see there's lots of different window styles, and within those styles, we have different heights. So this is 6 feet high, all the way down to 4 feet 6.5 inches, or 4 feet 6 is the unit size. And then this is the width. So the width goes all the way from 1 foot 8 inches all the way up to 3 foot 8 inches. All right, so let's get started. What we're going to do is we're actually going to use the wizard to start up. So what I want to do is have you choose File, New. Now, again, if you don't get this menu, check your startup. So you can type startup. Hit enter. Your startup should be 1. I believe it'll also work if your startup is 0. I'm just going to close a couple files here. That should be good. Okay. So File, New. I'm going to choose Advanced Settings. So you can choose the unit of measure, decimal, engineering, architectural. We can choose our precision. So if we take a look at our drawing, we can see that all of our units are in inches. We don't have any fractions of inches. So our precision can be just feet and inches. Angles, we really don't have any angles here, so precision can be 0. We can leave it at decimal degrees. You can set which direction is 0 degrees, whether it's east, north, however way you prefer it. In our case, it really doesn't matter. Angle direction, counterclockwise or clockwise, for us it doesn't matter. For our area, so we can enter the width and the length of the drawing. Now, if we look at our drawing is 30 feet by 25 feet. Actually, 30 feet by 30 feet. And then, of course, we need extra space. So we're going to put this on, well, the architectural title block that we have, which we can't open yet, I believe is C size. So let's enter this, knowing that we're going to, well, actually, we can enter the actual dimensions here, and we can adjust later. So we're 30 by 30. So let's go ahead and enter, we can just enter 30 by 30 for now. Excuse me, we'll do that. 30 feet. And notice it puts it in inches. You want it, and then we can finish. If you want to, you could put in an actual drawing size unit. So for instance, we could put in our page size. We could put 30, if we were using a C size, which I believe we are, we could put 34 by 22. Actually, that would be D size. So D size drawing, 34 by 22. I'm going to enter D size drawing for now. I'm trying to think if that's correct. That may not be correct. I'm going to put 34 by 34. Why 34 instead of 30? To give us extra room for dimensions. And again, we will adjust this when we get to the page size, because in the page size, of course, we adjust for the actual page that we're printing on. So this does not have to equal the page size directly. Then we click Finish, and it puts up our drawing. Now, one thing I want to point out about architectural drawings. Take a look at the dimensions. The dimensions do not use arrows. They use these lines that cross the dimension lines. These are called architectural ticks. And it's standard in architectural drawings to use architectural ticks. So we should go ahead and change that. So even though we set up for architectural type units, we haven't set up for architectural type ticks. So we should go over here and we should go into Format, our Dimension Style. In our Style Manager, we should modify. And then in Symbols and Arrows, Unit Format, Fraction Format. Yeah. In Symbols and Arrows, we should choose Architectural Ticks. Leaders does not matter here because we're not actually putting in leaders. So we can go ahead and click OK. We can click Close. Now, we have this architectural title block. What we want to do is we want to take this architectural title block and we want to move this over to our layout. So we're going to come over to our architectural title block and we're going to type Control A to copy, to select everything. Then we'll type Control C to copy. We're going to come back to our drawing, go to our layout, and we can delete this viewport. And then within our layout, we're going to type Control V to paste. Now, as you can see, the area is much, much bigger than the page at this point. So what we need to do is we need to go into the Page Setup Manager, click Modify. Now, in this case, I can't actually choose my printer. You have to choose either PDF format or a default format because we want to choose the paper size, which is architectural D size, 24 by 36. Scale should be 1:1. Our plot style can be none at this point because we're not actually going to be plotting this. And then we can go ahead and click OK. And now you can see how this actually fits on the page. Now if we need to, we can move this to center it, so we can hit just Control A. Click Move. Click on a corner to decide to move it from that corner, and then move it to center it. Or make it relatively centered. Okay, so now we want to repeat that 2 more times. Now we only have one layout here, so we need to hit the plus sign to create a third layout. So again, in this case, let's do the Page Setup Manager first. So we can modify for layout 2. And again, choose an Adobe printer and architectural D size. I don't have to change anything else. Hit OK. I can go ahead and delete my viewport. I'm not quite sure why that is there. And then I can hit Control V and paste. And then I can do the same thing for layout 3. Here, I'll delete my viewport first. Page Setup Manager, modify, use my PDF printer, and set it up to architectural D size. OK. Close. Control V. And paste. Okay, so now I have 3 layouts set up. Haven't drawn a single thing yet. I want to set up some layers. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to open up my layer manager. I'm going to add 2, 3, 4 layers. The first layer will be walls. Second layer will be windows. Third layer will be doors. And the fourth layer will be trees. So I'm going to make my walls I'll leave my walls white. I'll make my windows light blue. I'll make my doors dark blue. And of course, we're going to make our trees green. And we have to add one more layer, which would be dimensions. And we'll make our dimensions red. Okay, so at this point, we could start drawing. But I'm going to make a few additional setups first. And this is related to the doors and the windows. I'm going to bring in the doors and the windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first kind of check my area. So what I'm going to do is just in my wall layer, I'm going to start here and I'm going to make a box that's 30 feet (0 inches, comma 30 feet, 30 feet, (0 inches). And that didn't like that. Let's try that again. 30 feet. Feet. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to check my area. So this is approximately the area of my house size. And as you could see before, because of previous setups, I was probably set up so I had a 4 or 5 inch area, where now we're working on an area that's 30 feet by 30 feet. So I needed a much, much larger screen, so I had to zoom out a lot to get this. So I just want to put that block in very quickly. Now the other reason I want to do that is because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some doors and windows and just kind of throw them on the side so that they're waiting for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Genwell door file. And go into Genwell door, and I previously decided I'm going to put door number 58. So we went to Home Depot and we went through all the catalogs, and I picked a door, and then my wife told me we're going to use door 58, not the one I picked. So how do we put this in the file? Well, really all we have to do is copy and paste it. Now, the way that we do it, though, is we want to make sure we don't get dimensions. So all we have to do is excuse me, I'm hitting the wrong button here. All right, let's put this in the center here. We click in the lower corner, or any corner, and just surround the door. You don't want to go wide. If you go wide enough so that you include dimensions, the dimensions are going to come with you. You don't want to do that. You only want to include the door. So we just do that. You can see we have the outline of the door. We have all of the interior highlights. We're all set. So all we have to do is hit Control C, and then we can go into our drawing, and then over here we can just hit Control V, and that'll paste the door. And we're going to do the same thing with the window. So we're going to go into our Anderson window file. And again, I've previously decided we're going to use the DH2650. So that's in Colonial, and it's in the very first box here. The double hung cottage style. DHC 2650. And we're just going to come over here and box this like so. Control C to copy it. Go over to our drawing. Control V to paste it. And we're just going to put it right there. Now, a couple of things we want to do to this. And one note I want to make. First of all, this is not the door or the the door or the window that we're going to put on the floor plan that we're going to build. But this will be on the front facade. Remember, the floor plan is a flat file, so we're kind of looking down on it. So it doesn't make sense to put a door that would be like a front view. We're going to select our door. And you can see it actually when you bring things over, it actually puts all the layers in for you. But what we're going to do is we're just going to put all these layers, make all these layers just door. Just like that. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to group all this. The reason we want to group all this is because by grouping it, we can move it without having to do a square copy around it. So we can just do a copy and then move it like this instead of having to put a box around it in order to move it. I'm sorry, either a copy or a move. In our case, I don't think we have to do copies. But for the window, we will have to do copies. And we're going to do the same thing for the window. So for the window, we're going to take the window and make it all one layer. And it's actually already selected, so we don't have to reselect it. And then we're going to group the window all, make the window all in one group. And then as one group, as I said, we can easily move it. Now, in fact, if you notice the drawing, and we're only doing a front facade, the windows are 5 feet. And the window that I downloaded is only 2 feet 6 inches. So we're actually going to have to put 2 windows together. So we need to do that as well. Let's go back to our window. And we're going to take this window. I guess we have it selected already. We're going to copy it. We'll choose the lower corner as the base point. And we're going to make 2 copies. And we're going to put the 2 copies just like that. So we have 2 windows together. So now we have a single window and a double window. We're going to take the double window, select those 2 pieces, and then group those together. So now we have a double window that's grouped. And if we look at the front facade, we see we have 2 double windows. So we're going to go ahead and copy it one more time. We're going to select this, copy from there. Let's put 1 additional copy there. Okay, so now we have windows for that front facade. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. For those of you who haven't worked with architecture, haven't worked with housing ever, I know some of you guys are, the majority of you are relatively young. So what is a facade? A facade is the front surface of a building. So the front facade of, let's say, your house or your home or your apartment building is just what you would see as you look at the front. Anyway, what else are we missing? We're missing the window. Well, not the. We don't have to do the doors, but we're missing, or we'll show you how to do the doors. But we're missing the windows that we're going to put in when we build the house itself. So when we build the walls, we're missing the windows, these windows. We have to go ahead and build these ourselves. But this is relatively easy to do. Now, one thing we need to know here is that these walls are 5 inches thick. Where does that 5 inches come from? Well, typically walls are made with 2x4s. 2x4 is 2 inches by 4 inches, except it isn't really. A 2x4 is actually 1.5 inches by 3.25, I believe. But it's not, or 3.5. I don't recall off the top of my head. But it's not actually 4 inches. Additionally, you have to finish the wall. So you have to put sheetrock on the inside, and you're putting plywood on the outside, followed by a finish layer, either vinyl siding or maybe some type of cedar shingles or something. Anyway, the wall is not the same thickness as the 2x4. So the standard wall thickness with 2x4 walls is 5 inches. So we're going to be drawing our walls as 5 inches. Now, if we look at our windows, we have both 5-foot windows and 4-foot windows. Let's go ahead and create those windows. So what you saw there is we have little blocks on the outside, and then we have basically a line between them. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here in our window layer. We can blow this up a little bit. Is we can make little blocks, and these are going to be 5 inches by 5 inches. So we just type 5 inches, we get a 5-inch square. And then we can copy this let's put one up here. And then we want to put one over here, and this one we want to specify the exact distance. So if we're starting from here, we want to make a 5-foot window, we want to make it actually 7 inches shorter, because this block will extend by 5 inches. Excuse me, we want to make it 5 inches shorter. So we're going to make it 4'7". So we're going to type 4 feet, 7 inches. Right there. And then we can do the same thing here. And if we track from, actually, if we track from this point, we might as well track from this point. We track from that point, we can make it 3 feet, 7 inches. Remember, single quote is feet, double quote is inches. So now we should just check this, make sure we didn't do anything wrong. So I check the distance from here to here. 4'2". Is this going to be 5'2"? 4'11". I wonder if my block size is wrong. Okay, mate, did I type 4 inches on my block, maybe? Oh, it made a block of a 5-inch diagonal. All right, so let's delete all this and start over. Delete. Let's do it this way. Let's just make our own block. And in order to do that, we want to turn on this, and we only need go in that dimension. We can restrict to. And actually just restrict to orthogonal. And we can type 5, 5, 5, enter, enter. All right, so there's our one block. We can copy this block. We want to copy from there, move it over by 4 foot 7 inches. And now we're going to check this one before we make the next one. And the distance is exactly 5. Okay, so let's finish this one up. So all we do to finish it is we draw a line between them. Just like that. So that's a finished window. We don't have to draw the upper, top and bottom lines. The top and bottom lines are actually the wall. So now we can do the 4 foot window. So we can copy this, move up to there, and then from here, will it let us track in that direction? Doesn't look like it will. So we can come over here, copy this one, and then track in this direction. And again, we want to track 3'7". and then draw a line between. Now, if you don't get that triangle to show the midpoint, then from object snap reference points, you should come over here and turn on midpoint. All right, so those are the windows. We can group them. And then we can copy. And make one copy. Make a second copy. Rotate by 90. Specify base point. Rotate, select, and rotate by 90. Okay, so now we have both vertical and horizontal windows. We have our doors, and we have double and single windows. At this point, we're ready to go ahead and start our layouts. I'm going to stop this video. This is just a setup, but what we should do, of course, is save this. So I'm going to save this as floor plan setup.